In today's episode of Art of Making, decoupage is the decorating art of interior items. Gent is a favorite dessert of nomadic people. Painted gingerbread is a masterpiece of confectionery making. These cozy tea houses, mirrors, and trays are the works of artist Anastasiya Laktionova. They are decorated in decoupage technique. This art originated in the Middle Ages in China. It was popular for a long time in Europe. Craftsmen use this technique to decorate the surface of various objects, including dishes and furniture. Translated from French, decoupage means cut, and this, in the most literal sense, reflects the essence of the technique. Paper clippings with images are used for decorating. Decoupage is interesting because you can change any item. For example, if one wants to remake a table or a bed table, then he can use this technique, and it's not difficult. It was also used in the decoration of walls, furniture, and interior. In addition to paper, designs from various materials, for example leather or textiles, are used as appliqués. In decoupage, a wooden surface most often acts as a basis, but the imagination and skill of artisans allow to use other materials.
Разделений в декупаже очень много.
There are many varieties of decoupage. For example, a method of decorating with napkins or decoupage layouts. There are several types on how to do this and surfaces you can work on. It can be wood, metal, and glass.
Стекло, оно дает прозрачность, и тут немного...
Glass gives transparency, and here you need to consider the process itself. The glass is transparent and gives depth, and here it's important what effect you're trying to achieve.
Объем присутствовал, либо это опять же перекрыть всю эту тарелку.
Whether to achieve volume or to cover the glass with paint, as is done with a wooden surface. That's the difference.
Краски, которые используются.
It's also about the paints that are used. This is a crackler. When we create the effect of antiquity with the help of paints, you can achieve the effect of metal and marble finish. This is done with paints. Decoupage is very multifaceted.
Такой многогранный, можно сказать.
Anastasiya is an architect. For more than 10 years, her professional skills have been helping her in these crafts. However, at the beginning, it was just a hobby. I started doing decoupage by chance. I decided to try it. I liked it. I started doing it. However, at the beginning it was just a hobby. Many decoupage craftsmen believe that it's not difficult to master such a craft. The most important thing is to have desire and patience. Today, Anastasiya will share decoupage basics with us using the example of decorating a cutting board.
Например, одно изделие невозможно сделать на 1, 2, 3, да? Его нужно, это такая многогранная...
It's impossible to make any item quickly. This is such a multifaceted structure that includes a certain number of steps.
Вот мы берем какой-то вид...
For example, if we take a wooden surface, then we must first clean it up, remove all excess fat and varnish it.
Затем мы покрываем грунтом.
Then cover it with a primer.
Вязкость связующая. После этого...
Then apply the drawing. This is either a decoupage layout or a napkin.
Что у нас имеется? Или салфетка это.
The pattern must also dry. If necessary, the surface is ground again, and then layers of paint are applied.
Неровные поверхности. Затем мы начинаем наносить краску, слои краски.
The application of paints is a long process. With their help, you can accentuate different things and favorably distinguish background, and all this creates the effect of painting. It takes quite a long time to dry each layer. Then everything is covered with a protective layer of varnish. On average, a master needs a couple of days to decorate a small item. A small item takes up to 3 days to make. It all depends on the volume and what you're trying to make. And some items are made right on the spot.
Бывают изделия, что
Sometimes you take up an item and it seems that there is nothing complicated about it, or vice versa, but still the work somehow goes smoothly and everything is done easily.
пошла сама собой, и она легко, быстро и получилась.
We painted all the details. The background is highlighted.
Выделили те моменты, которые были нечёткие.
We highlighted those parts that were fuzzy, and now we will make the last touches that will make our cutting board complete.
Наши разделочные досточки.
Ordinary napkins in the hands of the craftsman turn into a piece of art. Anastasiya often uses decoupage layouts in her work.
Вот эта карта, она идет на бумаге.
This layout is on paper. It can be either thin or dense rice paper.
И на ней уже напечатаны.
And there are pictures printed on it. As you can see, the drawings are saturated, but in decoupage, the drawing is additionally covered with paint.
Мы проходимся по всем видам краской. А декорирование, когда уже заканчиваю изделие, тогда я декорирую рядом. Бывает, что
When I finish, I use fabrics, various metals, beads, and other materials for decoration.
разная разновидность разных материалов.
The work process gives only pleasure, says the master, because you can create such beauty only if you really love what you're doing.
Я сажусь.
Nothing can distract me when I start the working process. It's a holiday for me. There are no mistakes in decoupage.
В декупаже практически нет ошибок. Что бы вы ни приклеили.
Whatever you glue to the surface, all this can be fixed. Acrylic paints dry quickly, but they can be covered. You can make mistakes and try again.
Использовать или перекрыть. Можно не ошибаться и можно пробовать.
Throughout history, food had a special place for Kazakh people. It reflected its history, customs, and traditions. Since ancient times, such dairy products as suzbe, khumran, uwas, qatık have been widely used in Kazakh cuisine, as well as grain products, millet and barley. Both types of these products were part of Kazakh desserts. They gave them a unique taste and nutritional value. We will visit an expert on traditional cuisine to learn the recipe of an unusual traditional dessert of Kazakh people.
Бізде өте көп қой жаңағы тәтті тағамдар. Бұрыннан
Kazakhs have a lot of national desserts. They have long been made in the villages, less often in the cities. Mostly this was done by grandmothers. For example, millet. It's grown in Kızılorda or Aktobe, and millet in each region differs in its taste. Someone prefers Aktobe millet, considering it to be the best, and someone prefers millet from Kızılorda. Nevertheless, both types of millet are tasty and nutritious. The modern treat is made according to the Asian recipes. Millet or tarı were washed in large containers, dried, brayed in mortars, and separated from husks. Purified millet were fried and milled into flour. Milled millet was called talkhan. Popular wisdom says, eat a handful of talkhan in the morning and you won't go hungry until the next morning. Today I will tell you how jent is made. Here is millet and here is pounded talkhan. It is talkhan that will soon turn into jent. I don't add sugar. I'll add cottage cheese instead, which is mixed with honey. Its sweetness will be enough for this dessert. Now, many people of all ages use little sugar in nutrition. I'll add melted butter to the talkhan. I melted it in advance and separated the milk fat. After jent is thoroughly mixed with butter, crushed cottage cheese is added to it. Jent was considered the superfood of nomads. It's unique in its structure, nutritious, useful, and organic. Sprouted wheat grains and millet contain proteins and carbohydrates in an optimal ratio for digestion. In addition to valuable nutritional properties, jent cleans the body as a kind of natural abrasive. It's rich in trace elements and is recommended for lowering cholesterol and salt deposits in vessels, joints, liver, and kidneys. Thanks to this kind of food, our ancestors didn't have any problems with excess weight and were very well built. Well, now jent is deservedly called food of the 21st century. After we mix all the ingredients, I'll be giving the jent a shape like it used to be done in the old times. Just like our great-grandmothers who had neither time nor the opportunity to give the dessert a beautiful shape, I would just squeeze the jent in the palm of my hand and put it like this. So today we will make a jent in the form of sıkpa. I think it's not bad. To give great sweetness, originality, raisins, nuts, chocolate, dried berries can be added to the jent. This is the kind of jent we see in the confectionery of our heroine. Here is the dried apricot, and here is khospa. It's when talkhan and tarı are mixed. Jent with nuts, and here is a bar of chocolate with jent, nuts and sublimated berries, strawberries and raspberries. In addition, there are some jent covered with chocolate. The simplicity of the ingredients of traditional dessert, in which you can notice pieces of dried apricot and nuts, becomes the starting point of confectioner's fantasies. With the help of technology, she has developed a completely new concept of all treats, turning it into dessert for real gourmets. Jent is ready. It turned out to be interesting. Let's have some tea. We will have tea with milk and with some tarı, like Kazakhs do. This makes the aroma of tea and the taste of jent special. Delicate, crispy gente with honey is an amazing dessert that will satisfy even the most demanding gourmet lover. Naila Akhmerova is a pastry chef. She bakes gingerbreads and short-crust pastries, but not quite ordinary ones. They can be easily called masterpieces since they are so beautifully painted by hand that one wonders, how can this be eaten?
Я занимаюсь выпечкой и
I bake and make gingerbreads. I paint them by hand.
вручную рисую на них.
The tradition of painting gingerbreads and giving them various forms dates back to early 19th century. In European countries, ginger cookies were usually baked at Christmas and were considered to be a symbol of winter holiday. It was customary to give them away on Christmas Eve. In our country, gingerbreads have also gained popularity.
Сейчас это модно, наверное, у нас с недавнего.
Now it's popular here too. In general, the tradition originated in Europe. Gingerbread was baked mainly for Christmas.
В основном это были рождественские.
Naila came up with a desire to paint gingerbread completely by chance. Scrolling through photos on a popular social network, she drew attention to the page of the confectionery school. Their works attracted her attention, so Naila decided to learn the skill too.
На тот момент я была в шоке и не могла даже
I was surprised at that time and I thought, how this could be done. It was so beautiful. I got excited. I paid for the classes and attended the school.
Я не верила, что я смогу это там героя какого-то.
I didn't believe I could draw any character. I couldn't understand how to paint gingerbread so beautifully. But time has passed and now I have developed this skill. And I'm happy.
Развила в себе этот навык. Мне нравится.
Learning at first was not easy, says Naila, and not everything worked out. And in the confectionery work, all the details are important, such as the thickness of the dough, the temperature of the baking, and much more, which you learn only in the process of work.
Там есть такие нюансы, даже от муки, от масла.
There are such nuances. It all depends on flour and butter. Well, it was difficult to draw at first, but I didn't give up.
С первого раза, но я не отчаивалась, тренировалась.
I tried again and again, and now I like what I do. Of course, I'm not 100% satisfied, but if I'm happy, then this is not interesting, and I'm still studying. I want to say that you should never give up, and then everything will work out.
Как я говорила, я учусь до сих пор.
The traditional dough for painted gingerbread is considered ginger dough, since it's best for creating shaped products.
Абсолютно нет разницы.
It doesn't really matter what to paint. Now the pastry chefs are drawing on a short crust pastry.
Допустим, если мне нужен даже круг.
Let's say if I need a circle with a diameter of 5 centimeters, then when baking it can turn out to be 5.5 centimeters. That is, ginger dough melts a little.
А песочное, как вы его испечете, если оно правильно приготовлено?
And short crust pastry, if it's properly made, retains its shape when baked, and it is, on the contrary, ideal for painting. But it's very fragile.
Но оно очень хрупкое.
Making gingerbread requires not only the skill of a pastry chef, but also the skills of an artist. And the chef should have patience since the production of gingerbread is a rather long process.
Допустим, сегодня я замесила тесто, оно у меня стабилизируется.
Let's say I made the dough today, then it stays in the refrigerator for a day.
И испечь.
And only the next day I can bake it. An hour after baking, we can work with gingerbread. Then there is the filling.
С ними работать, чтобы оно было отдохнувшее, остывшее.
This is the basis for the image.
Далее идет заливка. Далее идет перенос рисунка. Переносим также либо вручную, либо с помощником с проекта.
Then we transfer the drawing. It can be done by hand or with a projector. Then there is a process of making glaze, diluting dyes. Filling is the main work here.
Каждую деталь заливаем отдельно, либо это идет одним цветом.
Each detail of the drawing is filled separately.
Ориентируемся на рисунок. Далее нужно отдать остыть, засохнуть.
After that, you need time to dry the glaze. It takes about 5 or 6 hours. All parts are then painted.
Когда нужно, это разрисовка кистями, краской.
Naila painted gingerbread by hand, but sometimes she uses modern technologies which greatly facilitate some stages of production.
Проектор позволяет нам перенести.
The projector allows us to transfer the picture to the slightest accuracy. If you need to draw eyes, for example, or facial expressions, then the projector helps us a lot.
То проектор нам помогает. Мы берем рисунок обычный.
We take the drawing that we need to draw, the projector catches this image, and we project it on the gingerbread.
Проецируем на пряник.
This is a kind of transfer, that is, we draw using a projector.
На пряники с помощью проектора. Особая сложность, наверное, ручной работы – это попасть.
A special difficulty of manual work is to get exactly into the drawing.
Мы видим изображение одно, и его нужно.
We see one image and you need to transfer it, recreate the same thing on the gingerbread.
Но самая сложность – это не попасть. То есть даже.
And the most difficult thing is to match the pattern. The wrong side or smile, and the character from the picture becomes different.
И для того, чтобы, если что-то идет не так,
And if something goes wrong, then we redo it, and it's not easy.
переделываем. Ну, то есть это непросто. Сейчас мне на помощь пришел принтер пищевой. В нем также пищевые.
Now a food printer helps me here. It uses special food dyes.
Как и обычный принтер, который печатает нам.
It works just like an ordinary paper printer.
Что-то мы распечатываем, он абсолютно так же работает. То есть мы задаем.
We set a task for it through a computer if we need to print out any character,
Напечатать какого-то героя. Мы задаем эту программу.
which is this program, put the gingerbread in the place where the drawing should be, and print it out.
Должен быть этот рисунок и печатаем.
The printed gingerbread is slightly different from the hand-painted one. It has a flatter pattern and no volume. And this method also has its own features.
Чтобы отпечатать пряник, это тоже. Во-первых, нужно найти рисунок.
To print the gingerbread, you need to find a high-quality image. The gingerbread's look depends on it. Finding and preparing a picture also takes time.
О качестве рисунка. То есть это время затратно.
Of course, any work requires some investment, attention, and time. But if you're passionate, then any difficulties are easy to overcome. Naila Akhmerova once changed her office work to culinary creativity and does not regret it at all.
Мне всегда нравилось.
I've always enjoyed painting. I'm not an artist, but I just love it.
Я просто люблю это дело. То есть в какой-то мере.
To some extent, this is a meditation for me, to sit peacefully and paint. Creating something is the most important thing for me. Well, after all, you need to love your work and what you do.
Самое важное. Ну и вообще работу, мне кажется, нужно любить и любить то, чем ты занимаешься.